But if I'm going to stand up here and ask you to challenge your assumptions, then I need to force you to do that. So I'm going to show you something that you not only assume is impossible, you know that it's impossible. It involves that little wooden box and a 100-euro bill. I brought the box. Who's got a bill I can borrow? Doesn't have to be 100, it could be a 50 or a 10, but who's got a bill? Yeah, what you got? 50. That's, yeah, pretty good, yeah, right, good. Hi, I'm Dan, you are? Audrey. Audrey, I've got a marker here. If I chuck it back at you, you're not gonna catch it. Pal, are you, yeah, okay, good. Audrey's name across the face of this bill identifies it so we know it is indeed hers. So at the end of this whole thing, nobody thinks that I've got a bogus duplicate. Now, a lot of times you go see a magician, they don't tell you what to expect. I'm going to tell you exactly what to expect. I'm going to fold the bill into a nice, neat little bundle. I'll put that bundle inside of my empty left hand. I'll wave my empty right hand over it. It will disappear. It will fly invisibly through space, and it will land in the little wooden box. Now, you know that that is impossible. The bill. The wave. The total lack of reaction. Nope, too little, too late. I get it. Audrey, come on up. Pull out what you find inside. Yeah, it's a little bag, that's good. And then open the bag and pull out what you find therein. A lime, yeah. This is important, Audrey. Inspect that lime. Make sure there's no holes, no cuts, no slits, no errors. There's no secret points of entry. It is indeed an unadulterated piece of citrus, yes? Yes. Fantastic. Let's cut this baby open, shall we? Do you have a knife?
No.
You don't? Okay.
I don't happen to carry one.
I do. I got one 3 years ago after a failed mugging attempt. And I got to tell you, now that I have the knife, the attempts are far more fruitful. There it is. Good. There's not a 50 euro stuck to that knife, is there? No, good. I'm going to cut the lime in half. Not straight in half. I'm going to circumnavigate the equator of this little citrus planet. Grab the top, twist, and lift.
Oh my gosh.
There's something in there.
Wow.
Grab it.
Oh my gosh.
It's green. Oh no, it's brown.
Well, it's green in another way.
That's right. It's 50, but it can't be the same 50 euro bill, right? Because that's impossible. And yet she shows you her signature. And I think we'd agree that is possible.
Wow.
What you have just seen is impossible. It cannot be done. You know it in your bones. And then again, you just watched it happen. I think that's a lovely reminder of the fact that possibility is a question of belief. If you believe something is impossible, then it's impossible. Because if you believe it's impossible, you're not even going to try to do it. But if you believe something is possible, even just a sliver of possibility, that means that you're going to put in the effort, and you're going to try and fail and try again until eventually that impossible thing becomes possible. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I believe that. In fact, I know that. And yet, then again, at the same time, I also know that you're probably thinking something. And if we go back to the slide, how did he do that? Right? Because come on. The human mind, when it sees something that it can't explain, immediately it tries to figure it out. It tries to come up with answers, right? So I know that everybody's brain is spinning with how did that happen? How did that happen? And theories are bubbling up. So until we address this question, I know that all you will hear from me is Wah, 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 wah. So let's do that. Take just 30 seconds in your mind. Think of how I could have done that, how I could have taken Audrey's 50-euro bill, made it disappear, and show up inside of the box, inside of the bag, inside of the line. Who has a theory? I get the gist of your theory is that there's more than one line. Yes, and there was some sort of a switch. Got it. How confident on a scale from 1 to 10? 9 out of 10. Get some confidence, right? Yeah, good, good. Other theories? All the way in the back. How'd I do it? I think I understand. So I had the bill hidden in my hand, and I put the lime in there. And are you saying as I cut, I slid it in?
Somewhere in the process, then yes.
Someplace in the process, I slipped that bill in there as I was cutting. Good. And on a scale from 1 to 10?
11.
11. Certainty. Certainty. Good. And one more. Theory being Audrey and I go way back, and we colluded. We were in cahoots. Okay, but not so confident. All right. So let me tell you a story, and it's the story of how it came to be that I even asked this question. This is not a normal question for a magician to ask. So here's the story of why I asked the question. 10 years ago, I was doing a leadership retreat for a leadership team of a company. It was a half-day workshop. Right after breakfast, I did this trick to illustrate the idea of possibility is about belief, and then I moved on, did the rest of the workshop. At lunch, it became clear that I was the only one in the room who had moved on, because the president of this company came up and said, "Dan, that trick with the lime is amazing. I know how you did it." I said, "Oh, really?" "Yeah, of course." "Okay, how did I do it?" "Oh, well, it was obvious. And then he told me his theory. It was a good theory. But I said, "Are you sure?" And he looked me right in the eye and he said, "Well, of course I'm sure. It's the only physical explanation for how you could have done that." So what I told him and what I want to tell you is that in the last 20 years of doing that piece of magic, I've used at least 12 different methods, at least 12 completely different physical techniques to achieve the exact same end result. And when I told him that, he looked like I punched him in the nose. It was like his brain exploded with the idea that there could have been more than one right answer. And he thought about it. He said, "Okay, if that's true, and I believe you that it's true, that you've got 12 different ways you could have done it, and I was convinced that I had the only right answer, then I need to go back to the office. And I need to look at all the things that we as an organization believe that we have the only right answer for. And we need to question those." I thought that was just beautiful, because in that moment he realized that by blindly following yesterday's right answers for today's problems, or worse, projecting those answers into some unknown future, he was opening up himself, his company, the lives of everybody his company touched to an awful lot of risk.